Hello out there, fellow YouTubians. Here I am with yet another spontaneous essay. This time on everybody's favorite scare buzzword, racism. It's been an awfully misused word, especially lately. In Virginia, Governor of Virginia, Dr. Ralph Nordstrom, gets in hot water by infuriating the pro-life lobby by describing what would occur under a bill then under consideration in the Virginia legislature to allow the legal murder of infants who survive a late-term abortion. According to Dr. Nordstrom, you make the infant comfortable. The doctor and the mother would have a conversation about whether to bash the kid's brains in or put it up for adoption, or if she wanted to raise the kid for as if she had wanted it. Fortunately, this horrible legislation was defeated in the legislature, although a similar one passed in New York State, and another one is under consideration in New Mexico, and I think it's passed in other states of the Union as well. At any rate, this statement in front of a national media outlet got Dr. Nordstrom in very hot water. Being a liberal Democrat, he didn't want to rile up the pro-life movement. So, surprise, they discover an old photo of him in blackface in his medical school yearbook. Couldn't claim that he was just a dumb kid because he was in medical school, which is very intense. I don't know what defense you can have for him. He claims he didn't do blackface that time, but he did do blackface once in a Michael Jackson imitation contest, which he won because he could do the moonwalk. What can I say about it? He's not going to suffer any consequences. Being racist, while it is extremely bad manners, is not an impeachable offense in any state in the Union. However, it's very bad for your political prospects because it means that people of the opposition party can oppose you, and even some members of your own party who don't like you very much, and they can say they're doing it because you're a racist. So, extremely bad. He wouldn't be an effective governor unless he made this right. So he claims that he's going on a listening tour, and he's going to consider reparations for slavery, and understanding his white privilege more, etc., etc., etc. It's a bunch of crap. He basically raised that either because someone brought up found that photo, or revealed that photo, or whatnot, after his statement. It's a red herring to get people's mind off of his statements on fourth trimester or afterbirth abortion, you might call it. Everybody knows it. Nobody will say it in the media. That's okay. They're whores. And dyed-in-the-wool liberal Democrat partisans, or perhaps leftist now, you can't say liberal. Anyway, I digress. I don't know if I can get this down to 20 minutes, but I'm going to try. Racism, of course, has been with the human race for as long as there was a human race. It's what according to those who believe in evolution, say that the Cro-Magnon man did to the Neanderthal man. Killed them all. It's what the Nazis did to Jews and Gypsies in a very efficient Germanic manner. in Afghanistan, it's what the Taliban, mostly Pashtun, did to the Hazara. Who are the Hazara? You might have read The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini, a great novel, not autobiographical. Khaled Hosseini was born in Afghanistan, but left at a young age. So, anyway, the Hazara have Far Eastern features: yellow skin, slanty eyes, high cheekbones, and in the Pashtun areas of Afghanistan, perhaps in all of them, I don't know, I'm not an expert on Afghanistan, they are the servile class. They do the manual labor, they're the house servants. People harass and persecute them in the streets. And when the Taliban defeated the Russians and chased them out of Afghanistan with American help, till I read this book, The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini, which I very much recommend. I didn't know it, but the Taliban then went in to a great Hazara stronghold, ordered all the men to come out into the street, and machine gunned a lot of them. And any women and children who came out to cart away their loved ones and give them a proper burial were also machine gunned until nobody dared to come out of their houses. And the dead bodies were left for the dogs to eat. This is because the Taliban were comprised of Pashtuns who believed that they were racially superior to the Hazara. And so it goes. Just about every place in the world. In Australia, the white people don't like the Aborigines. In South Africa, there used to be a joke during the time of apartheid that at least they're not oppressing any minorities. In other words, they were oppressing the majority, the non-whites, which included Asians, the mulattoes, and the various tribes of black South Africans. Racism is very old. In fact, the American Indians, a lot of them, the names for their tribe was the human beings. In other words, they believed that other tribes and white people and Mexicans were subhuman. This doesn't make it any less pernicious, because in an advanced society, such as Western society, people should have outgrown this sort of thing. But as John Stuart Mills says, representative government, such as is found in England, the United States, and France, has to take people as they find them. And from there, they are supposed to grow and improve. Nobody now seriously wants to reinstitute Jim Crow. Very few people believe that their race is superior to that of others. But still, racism does persist. In fact, there's a very pernicious fiction now that only white people can be racist. Everyone else has been at some point oppressed by white people and therefore is immune to racism. All they are doing when they hate white people is reacting to their former oppression, or in some cases present-day oppression. More about this in a little bit. Now, let me tell you a personal story. In August of 1992, I was in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, where I used to live. I moved out shortly before the 1991 anti-Jewish riot, by some known as a pogrom. In fact, I think that was a pretty accurate description. And there were a lot of very hostile people, many of them connected to black activists such as Sonny Carson, now deceased, and Al Sharpton, now pretty much irrelevant. But I witnessed there a post-1991 riot mural done by kids in the Crown Heights area, both white and black, showing a bunch of multiracial kids, a Hasidic kid, a Chinese kid, a black kid, a Puerto Rican kid, all playing together nicely on a playground. And I saw some of these activists in to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of the riot there splash white paint all over this mural. A Jewish man photographed one of the people doing this, and for his troubles, one of the biggest and nastiest of the group of white paint splashers took a swing at him in full view of representatives of the mayor's office and the police. Nobody did anything. I spoke to one of the members of the mayor's liaison office, and he told me he didn't want to provoke another riot, which makes it an awfully good thing to do, to be on the brink of having riots. And at any rate, luckily the Jewish photographer ducked and got away with his picture, but it wasn't printed in the media there or anything. At some point, the people there for the celebration, I suppose you could call it, cornered me. You see, I had made the mistake of responding to one of them. This woman of the New Alliance Party said that since I was in a three-piece suit, having come from my work at a law office, said that I looked like a slave trader. Now, I saw a very cute little black boy there, and I smiled at him, and he smiled back. And I asked, do I look like a slave trader to you? And he said, no. I was a very nice kid. But they just had to surround me at that point and started chanting at me. And one of the group that was around me started telling me how back in the 17th century, a Jewish man named Perez living in Rhode Island. It was a pirate's cove at that time, and the name Perez indicates to me that he was an expatriate of Spain. Jews had been kicked out of Spain at that time. At any rate, he set up shop in Rhode Island and became a very big-time slave trader, owned 40% of the slave trade. I don't know how much that was. It would, of course, not be except during his lifetime, and I don't know the details of it. But while he was giving me this lecture on how evil I am because I'm Jewish, one of his friends was screaming in my face, "You a devil!" over and over, like about 1 inch from my face. If I had sneezed, he probably would have bit my nose off. Now, if that isn't racism, I don't know what is. To believe in genetic determinism, that if a person is white or black or Jewish or Hazara or a gypsy, he is therefore inherently evil or stupid or trying to control the world, is the very definition of racism. So this pernicious doctrine of that the formerly oppressed or presently oppressed non-whites of the world are incapable of racism, I have experienced firsthand, is a lie. In fact, it is a racist lie. As I have, for that matter, I am not saying that since the end of Jim Crow and about 40 years of affirmative action and a black president and other great improvements in race relations that have happened in my lifetime, that racism doesn't exist. Of course it exists. And I totally sympathize with a young black man who a policeman believes has probable cause, has committed a crime, who accidentally makes a quick motion towards his pocket because there's a strong chance that due to that inadvertent movement, he might get shot dead, partially because he's black. Now, and I cannot pretend that is not, at least in part, racism, and that it is something that people should get upset and have mass demonstrations about. However, the whole racism game has become so widespread and so cynical, I have to say, that a lot of it is a racket, and it's become pretty despicable. I do not believe for one second that President Trump is a racist. That is a lie and a distortion, and anyone who knows the man will attest to this. I believe it's a stigma automatically attached to any Republican or conservative who's had some political success, or who might have some political success in order to defeat him. The most glaring example of this was Senator Trent Lott, who was the House Senate Majority Leader in the 1990s, until he made a faux pas that at a celebration of the centenarian Strom Thurmond, who has been a senator since forever, who was a Democrat for most of his political career, and was a states' rights candidate for president in 1948. That's how old he is and how long he's been in politics. He said, praising him, that if he had won in 1948, there would have been a good deal less problems now than there subsequently turned out to be. And for that, he was publicly shamed and eventually had to resign from the Senate and his majority leader post in disgrace and retire. I believe that you should judge people by their lifelong career, not just a few, not just one or two unfortunate statements. And I believe that redemption is possible. In fact, absolutely necessary, since we are all imperfect human beings. It looks like I'm going into extra innings here. I'll have to do a supplemental video, a second one, because I got still plenty to say. Thank you. God bless, and I'll be speaking some more in a few.